Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. We are here with Pokemon challenges. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am great. And we're going to learn a little bit about your character. First off, what is your character's name?
My character's name is Archie B. Alder.
Excellent. Why does that sound so familiar to me?
Probably because it kind of sounds like Archibald, right?
Ah, there we go. Bald, Archibald. I see what's happening. I see.
Uh,
Smarter than me. Um, we're going to pick up your character's backstory a long, long time ago before you really uh, met Captain John Winter, before you met the rest of the crew. We're going to go back in time to when you were a young lad and someone screwed you over. Someone that you were
yes,
close to, someone that you were friends with or had a lot of trust in. Who
yes.
is this person that you trusted to have your back that fucked you up?
Well, I would imagine since Archie was separated from his parents by one way or another fairly early in his life, um, I could imagine that before he joined the military, he was just kind of out on the streets of the town, following people um, that he thought he could trust, that he thought he could make form a bond with, or that could like guide him through this like very troubling um, setting that he grows up in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was all alone, so he needed to find someone that could guide him. So maybe he met a person out there when he was young who he thought he could trust and then wronged him.
So after what? Before we get into that, then, what was the circumstance of you departing your family, or your family departing
Um,
you?
I think this was something that happened fairly early in Archie's life that he barely remembers. Merely maybe because of trauma. But pretty much ever since he can think, he has like hazy memories of his family, but mostly he remembers like being alone in like a very maybe not even a house, but some sort of like um living situation where he was just kind of all on his own and had to fend for his own and eventually leave that place because it would just not be livable for him anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you will be a young lad on the streets of a significant town. We're gonna say Clydesdale. It is the
Sure.
capital city of Wake County, probably where you grew up. And you're a young boy fending for yourself on the streets of Clydesdale when you meet a person who is a middle-aged woman who's going to take you in, help you survive for a little bit. Her name, have a name in mind for this woman?
Um,
I
what
got one.
about okay,
Yeah. Okay. Her name is Amber.
Amber?
Yes. At least that's the name she tells you. So Amber finds you on the streets one day where you're struggling to get by and survive. You're walking
Yes.
through one of these side passages of Clydesdale, looking for little bits of scraps that people might have thrown out when Amber, not a particularly well dressed woman, her clothes are used. She's got that sort of not quite street urchin quality about her, but that like really lower class quality about her. Her face is
Yeah.
dirty, her hair is sort of matted. It's clear that she cuts it herself with a dagger, so it kind of like it's like going all over the place, weird lengths. You'll see that she has a knife tucked in her belt at her side that she tries to keep covered with a long shirt. And she sees you in one of these back alleys looking for scraps and calls you over with a warm biscuit in hand. And we're talking American biscuits, not British biscuits.
Got it. So the good ones.
That's the right answer. You can start 2 levels higher. She calls you over with a warm biscuit in hand. What are you gonna do?
Well, I'm obviously very enticed. I'm very hungry, and I can smell the biscuit, the like butteriness, I can like almost see how like it's like flaky and wonderful, and I probably haven't
Steaming.
eaten something proper in a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um. So, I think I'll definitely be enticed. I'll be a little bit skeptical, a little bit um wary, but I'm so hungry, and this person seems doesn't seem very threatening to me, so I'm gonna move over to her and just maybe just so I can smell the biscuit a little bit better.
Yeah. She sees you coming forward and says, "Don't be afraid. It's okay. I've got plenty more. What's your name, little man?"
I'm Archie, ma'am.
Archie, I'm Amber. It's nice to meet you. Here, eat something. Look, you look like you could use some strength.
I'll very cautiously stick out my hand and take the biscuit and grab it so she can't like pull it back, right?
Yeah.
And then
She releases the biscuit, sees you munch on it, and motions to a doorway a little bit down the alley and says, "Would you like to come in away from the rain? It's warm inside, there's a fire, there's some more biscuits."
I'm shaking a little bit, and as I'm munching, I just nod and I kind of waddle towards her.
She leads you down a half flight of stairs into a half submerged room underneath the walkways of the street. There's a little bit of water leaking in from the side, some pools forming on the ground, but the center of the room is dry enough. There's some tables here. There's a small fire going on one of the walls. The tables have chairs stacked on them. It looks like this is maybe some sort of defunct tavern or some sort of old dining room or something that has been sort of abandoned. You can see that there's like a doorway leading into a long defunct kitchen. There's cracked dishes on the ground around here, but the bar section inside the kitchen still has a barrel on it that looks freshly tapped, with still a little bit of some sort of fluid leaking from it. And she pulls out a chair for you, heads back into that defunct kitchen, and brings you out 3 more biscuits and sets them down on a dirty, cracked plate for you. And then looks you over a little bit and says, "Archie, right? You look like quite the strong lad. What are you doing begging for scraps in the back alleys of Clydesdale?"
I look at her with big eyes and kind of look back and forth between her and like the biscuits on the plate. And I'll say, I don't have anywhere else to go.
Thought that might be the case. Well, I can always use an assistant. You can stay here. It's not much. There's a room in the back where you can make up some sort of bed if you can find anything for it. And there's a kitchen. It works. And we've got enough food to feed ourselves for a little while. I've got some plans of making some money, but I'm going to need some help. I need a strong lad to help me out with this. Do you think that could be you?
I'm gonna glance at the biscuits one more time, and then I'm gonna nod profusely. I'm gonna say, yes. I can lift a lot of things. I can do a lot of work. Yeah.
Good. She pats you on the head, lets you finish the biscuits while she sort of watches you in silence. And once it's all done, she shows you around the area. There's this big common room. There is a small room that clearly used to be an office. There's still like a desk here, but it's long been opened and all the things taken from it. It teeters. It's not a great desk. Most people probably wouldn't want it, but she's moved it to the side and brought in this like big pile of hay stuffed into a sack that she's been using as a bed. She shows you that there's room for more. All we got to do is get you a sack and some hay, and you've got a bed. And then she shows you the kitchen. There's still like a small functioning fireplace in there where she had the the biscuits made. There's another fireplace in the main common room, and that's pretty much everything here. It's just these 3 rooms. There's a staircase that goes to the whatever is above on the next floor in the building, but that has been walled off. There's like bricks going across the ground, so it doesn't work anymore. She'll tell you that she's found this abandoned place, broke her way in, and has been living here for a couple of months. No one seems to be the wiser. She's got this plan. She's got a plan to make a whole bunch of money, but it's a 2-person job. See, she needs someone to help her break in through those bricks on that staircase and get into the building above, which has been renovated by this new noble family that's moved into Clydesdale, bought up some cheap property, and is sort of retrofitting it or refurbishing it, I think is the right word, in order to make it like a nice livable home. This nice new noble family is none the wiser that the very bottom floor, which is condemned and leaky and no one wants, has been taken over by her for these purposes. She'll tell you the story about this family. They're this new blood noble family. They're horse breeders. They own some villages outside of Clydesdale and have raised the horses that have won the last 3 yearly tournaments in Clydesdale, the horse racing tournaments. And because of this, they've been promoted from just like horse breeding family to a noble family, because they've been raising the very greatest horses around for 3 years in a row. And if you're going to call yourself Clydesdale, you would better have the best horses. And so newly appointed nobles. Hard to become a noble family in this day and age. She tells you that with their new nobility, they have found quite a bit of wealth. And she thinks it's stored here in their house in town. Her plan, very simple. Break the way through those bricks that have walled off the staircase slowly, quietly, over enough time that no one notices and hears. It means she's gonna build like some sort of scaffolding so that like as the mortar between bricks is removed, you can just like leave the brick there. So if someone glances at that part of the floor or whatever, wherever this happens to be, they won't notice the bricks like dropping out. And then once all the grouting is removed from between the bricks, you'll just remove the scaffolding, remove the floor, sneak on up, steal whatever it is that you need, and then the 2 of you can flee. She's going to split it 30-70 with you, 70 for her, 30 for you, because she came up with the plan and whatnot. Yeah. And then the 2 of you will be free to go your own ways or work together on another job. You know that this crime, which she is intending to commit, carries with it a death sentence. Not a great position to be in. And she gives you one more chance to opt out of the mission.
I think Archie has a decent concept of like money and like what he could do with it in a situation, right? But I think he does want to kind of inquire how much this 30% would entail for him, not in terms of like numbers, but in terms of like consequences for him. Like, does this mean he'll permanently have a warm place to sleep, or does this mean he can not just scavenge for scraps on the street for the next time coming, right? Like he wants to know that there is like some real positive consequences for him like tied to this, you know? So he's gonna like inquire a little bit about how much this 30% would be.
You know, with the amount of money we can take from these guys, we could go off and buy our own houses somewhere. Maybe in Clydesdale, maybe over in Rockwave. You could buy real property with what we're going to take. Or you could travel the world, moving from port to port, traveling from city to city. If you live cheaply enough, this could take you for years and years. It's enough money here that you wouldn't have to know hunger ever again if you wanted.
Archie's eyes will widen, and he'll remember the times that he was in the street and he was treated like very poorly by like noble people, you know, spat on, kicked, called names and everything, right? And he'll agree to do the job.
Great. I just have some notes that I can't find. Hold on.
All good.
And they were right here. No idea where they are. And no clue. Doesn't matter. So she talks to you about the plan, and the very next day, after you guys rest that night, she will help you go through town. She'll steal a sack from one of these merchants using you as a distraction. She has you like stumble over and knock over a table, and then while the shopkeeper comes to like pick everything up and admonish you for knocking over the table, she grabs a couple of bags from the rest of the things and hurriedly scurries away. What do you say after, like, when you go to knock over the table of stuff and the shopkeeper comes over to admonish you and starts berating you and yelling at you for being like an idiot and not noticing what's going around? What do you say to the shopkeeper?
To like distract him?
Yeah, or just as someone is coming and yelling at you for this, but you know, they're clearly distracted setting up the table again and restacking the clothing or the cloths and refolding them, yelling at you the whole while like, you stupid idiot, you gotta look where you're going, you knocked everything over, look, this is all dirty, now I gotta clean it, this is wet, it's gotta dry, who's gonna pay for this if it gets damaged, what are you thinking, kid?
I'll just start inquiring about like, listen, I was just looking for a pair of pants. I need.
You can't afford a pair of pants. What are you doing? Look at you, street urchin, beggar.
Listen, I'm just look how ripped all my clothes are. I just need something to put on. I'm cold.
Get out of
there.
here! I'll call the guards on you. I'll have them throw you in the stockades. She waves a finger at you.
I'll start stumbling out and like knock over a little bit something again and like be like, oh, I'm so terribly sorry. I'm so sorry. As I like pick up another like pair of pants and kind of try to look at it.
She'll snatch the pair of pants from you and start shouting into the rest of the open air market for the guards to come and like take you away, or you know, at least get you out of her shop area. And you can see a pair of soldiers walking on over. They've got breastplates made out of bronze. They carry spears, shin guards, like a leather skirt with studs across it. Typical hoplite type armor. And they start pushing their way through the crowd towards you. You got plenty of time to run away if you want, or to confront them. Your call.
I will book it.
Wise idea. Yeah, book it. You'll meet back up with Amber. She'll grab some. She'll bring you to a barn where you guys can steal some hay and stuff one of these bags so that you'll have a proper bed. Bring you back to the abandoned tavern down below, and work with you to help make some more biscuits, because it appears all she has is flour, water, a little bit of butter, and some yeast that she's managed to steal from a bakery. All you've really got are biscuits, or I guess, and cakes. She prefers biscuits. And she'll, next morning, or later that day, work on chipping out that grout between these stones.
Yes.
What? You've spent maybe a day with Amber now. She seems sort of kind-hearted. She clearly wants something out of you, but she's definitely going out of her way to be the person to steal things to provide for you a little bit. And she keeps talking about how she could really use a good, strong lad for this job.
Yeah.
And as of yet, she's not really mentioned what she needs the strong lad for. Her plan is just, open a hole in the ground and steal everything from inside. But your role in all of this is still pretty undefined. What does a young Archie feel about this?
Well, I do see this like middle-aged woman, and I feel like I do have some sort of idea about like how, okay, well, number one, I'm not really sure what we're getting from there. Like, I'm not sure if she'll be able to carry everything that we need from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the first thought that I have. The other thought is like I've been in fights on the streets and everything, and then there's a reason that I'm as strong as I am. I'm obviously thinking that, hey, this woman probably doesn't want to get involved in a fight if it comes this far. But as someone who, on the streets, all I kind of had was my strength to fend for myself. It's like a point of pride for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that someone would want me for that is kind of validating in a way, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where like I feel like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to be involved in a fight. Maybe she sees me as someone who could like protect her if we do get into a fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's like not necessarily a bad feeling.
Yeah, it's nice to be wanted, to be needed for the things that you're good at. It's an amazing feeling. Yeah. So you'll be with her as she has help. The two of you will construct this scaffolding, and she will work very carefully with a small hammer and a small chisel to slowly break through the grout and the cement holding these bricks together. And after a couple of days, you guys have pulled out enough bricks that if you gently lower the scaffolding down somehow, you'll be able to crawl on up through and enter the building above. And the day, or I should say, yeah, you're gonna go in at night, of course. You want to go in while everyone's asleep. So that day, during the day, she looks at you and goes, "So, kid, Archie, do you know how to fight?"
I would like crack my knuckles a little bit, right? And I'll look at her and just say, I've been in more fights than you can imagine.
Good, good. Do you know how to use a weapon?
So I think Archie's used like probably daggers that he's found in the streets before. He's never really called a weapon his own. It's just always like weapons get passed around, taken from you.
Mm-hmm.
And Archie's gonna say, I know my way around a weapon, but the weapons I trust the most are these two right here.
You lift up your fist, and she looks at him and
Yes.
goes, "Okay. Well, part of what we're doing here is we're gonna need some intimidation. And as strong as you are, a man with fists isn't nearly as scary as a man with a sword." And she will produce a wrapped up two-handed sword. But it is not the, when you think of two-handed swords, like this brilliant gleaming blade that you could easily use to hack someone into bits. And what she produces is this antique weapon that someone pulled out of a bog that's half rusted with chips out of it, and the crossguard is missing one half of the side, and the binding around the tang is sort of falling apart, and even the wood around the tang is kind of chipped off. It's the most questionable weapon you've ever seen in your life.
Yep, and
certainly,
I've seen a lot of questionable weapons in my time.
Yeah, certainly you could hurt someone with it. But really it's for the intimidation factor. And she hands this over to you carefully and says, "Now, when we're in there, if anyone shows up, I want you to yell and scream and wave this in their face and scare the ever-living lights out of them, all right? We don't want them to even try to put up a fight. I'm sure you could take them, but it's better if things don't come to violence. It's one thing to steal from nobles, it's another thing to attack them or kill them, you know?"
And on.
Good. Well, tonight's the night, Archie. I got your back. You got mine?
I'll look her in the eyes and I'll nod. I got yours.
She reaches out a hand to clasp yours, and then together, the two of you can lower the scaffolding and crawl through the hole in the floor into the building above you. It appears that Amber knows what she's doing. Somehow, she already seems to know the layout of this house. She immediately, well, the floor that you guys come up through has been renovated into a fireplace. So you're like pulling out the floor of the fireplace, and all this soot and ash and charred wood comes down. And then she lifts up the grate that the wood is supposed to sit on and lowers it down into here as well. Crawls up through the space, out through the fireplace, covered in dirt, pulls you up through as well, and begins to look through this house for valuables. And she makes a beeline for a door, heads into a hallway, goes down the hallway past 2 doors, and in through another door on the opposite side, like she knows where everything is. All the while whispering and waving you along with her. In this room, there's a box. She sets to the box, pulls out some picks and thieves' tools that were folded into her shirt somewhere, and sets to work on the box. That's when you hear something from above. The floor above you, there's like a stepping on the floorboards. She looks to you, motions, in the hallway. There's a staircase upstairs. Take that sword, go wave it around in whoever's face that is. Really scare them, but don't make so much noise that anyone outside would hear, okay? I'll give you a holler. I'll chirp 3 times. I'll go, ah, 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 and that'll be the sign to let you know to come downstairs, hop through the fireplace, and we'll be out of here, okay? It'll just take me 5 more minutes to get through this box.
Archie's heart is kind of racing at this point. He's been in danger before, but obviously this kind of thing is still pretty nerve-wracking, but also he doesn't feel like he can do anything else at this point, and also he trusts this woman, so he'll nod, he'll hold on to the sword tightly, and he'll go up the stairs.
Yep. Sure enough, it is the man of the house that's coming down. He's, I don't know, 36 years old, carefully groomed, what do you call it, like a goatee, just covering the bottom of his chin. His hair, even though he's like clearly woken up from a nap, is like still greased over from the last day, and he's definitely run his hands through it to make it look sort of nice. And he has in his hand a candle sitting in like a clear glass tube so that the wind doesn't blow it out. And he's coming down the hallway as you come up the stairs to see him. The candle doesn't shed that much light, so you can see him maybe 10 feet away from you before he can even see you. What are you gonna do?
I'm just gonna say, don't move, don't make a sound. I have a weapon.
And stops in the hallway and says,
I'll like step closer to him, kind of make sure that he can hear my footsteps, and maybe make them sound a little bit heavier. And I'll repeat what I said before.
Do you come within the radius of the candlelight?
I'll try. I think I'll try to stay a little bit out of it.
Okay. Man slowly and quietly says, "You've made a grave mistake, son. You should go now, or you get in trouble."
Archie will start shaking a little bit, but he's also kind of committed to this now, so he'll repeat what he said. Don't move. Don't make a sound.
The man slowly begins to walk backwards, like carefully putting one foot and then shifting the weight, carefully putting the next foot, and starts to retreat down the hall.
I will repeat again. I said, do not move, as I step closer to him, kind of following his steps.
He tosses the candle and glass in your direction and at the same time runs the other way. I guess I'll make an attack roll for him to see if he hits you with the candle glass. He's not a trained fighter or anything, and he's not really seeing exactly where you are, so he gets some penalties to it. It doesn't, he throws it, it hits the wall next to you, the glass breaks, shatters, the candle flickers and goes out, and the room is plunged almost into darkness. The only light now is the window at the far end of the hallway, and you can see the silhouette of this noble man running for the window. As he approaches the window, he begins to shout, "Guards! Guards! Help! Help!" What are you going to do, Archie? Are you going to kill him?
We'll flinch from the glass hitting the wall, and I'll make a snap decision and run for him, and I'll attack him with my sword.
Okay. You are not proficient in broken two-handed swords, so make me an attack roll. It's going to be a d20 -2 because you're not proficient. There would normally be a bonus of 1 from your strength. Let's figure out how old you are at this point in time. Are you?
You said like
Go ahead.
young lad, right? I was thinking probably like late teens, like 15, 14.
Okay.
Something along like in that range.
Yeah, your strength probably isn't fully developed, but it's on its way. So you probably have like 16 strength right now, which would give you a +1 to damage, but not a +1 to hit. So go ahead and make me a d20 -2 because you're not proficient, and then another -2 because it's really dark in here, but there's like enough light that you can kind of see something. So d20 -4 at the silhouette of the man running from you. It's a terrible
Did I do
roll.
that right?
Yeah, you did that
Jesus
absolutely
Christ.
right. You rolled like crap, and you got huge penalties.
Yep.
So you bring your two-handed sword up, and it like sticks into the ceiling above you in this small, narrow hallway. And as you bring it forward, like the blade snaps with half the blade in the ceiling and half the blade now in front of you, completely missing the attack. But the guy has gotten to the windows, thrown them open, and shouting for the guards. Next round. You've got him cornered. You are between him and any other door. You are on the second floor. Out the window and then down to the ground is maybe a... I guess with the half floor that's down below here, it's maybe a 25-foot drop. So he can't jump out the window without endangering his life. What are you going to do, Archie? There has not been the caw from downstairs.
I would like to repeat one more time for him to shut up.
Give me a charisma check.
How do I do that?
You're going to click on the CHR on your character sheet, or you can roll a d20 +12, because that's your charisma stat. Great. Yeah. He sees the menace in your eyes. He sees that you did try to kill him and just failed to do it, and slinks down by the window. It's real quiet. It says, I'm sorry. Don't hurt me. And that's when you hear the door downstairs bust open, and the sound of armored guards running through hallways.
Sounds like there's no way out for me, huh?
Yeah. You still haven't heard Amber call for you, and as you stand there trying to figure out what to do, coming up the stairs behind you is a group of guards, and they are covered in bright light. It's as if magical light is extending around them in a large aura, and it floods the hallway, and you can see that you are quickly outnumbered by trained guards in heavy armor with spears. Well, they probably have short swords if they're inside the house. They left their spears outside. What do you want to do?
Archie is extremely intimidated by these men. He's never dealt with this level of I guess security before. He will freeze up and drop his weapon.
All right. Man comes to his full height. His wife comes out of the bedroom eventually. Their kids come out of their respective rooms eventually. Other guards show up. They walk through the house. It's clear how you guys got in. You tracked soot through everything. And it's clear that the chest that Amber was expertly opened, and everything from within it has been removed. And it's hard to judge the timing of these things, but the guards definitely didn't see her when they were knocking down the doors, when they were coming into the house. And it becomes very clear to you personally that Amber probably had the box open by the time you got to the top of the stairs. Just took literally everything from the box, didn't call for you, left you as a person to take the fall for her. And you get questioned by the guards in the moment. Who was with you? Who was your partner? What do you say to them?
I will stay quiet.
Do you think Amber is coming back for you, or that she tried to get to you and it didn't work out, or do you feel like she actually abandoned you here? She did work with you for like 5 days to get ready for this task. Fed you for 5 days.
At this point, I definitely trust Amber more than I trust the authorities, which I've had no good experience with.
Yeah. Well, you get hauled off to jail that night. Amber doesn't come for you. How could she? You're in jail. I mean, your window does see to the outside, but like, she doesn't show up. And a few days pass, and she doesn't show up. And a few more days pass, and you're brought before a courtroom. People haven't really questioned you, aside from that, like, who was your partner? And they seem comfortable without asking any more questions. The guards bring you up. They say that you were part of a group of thieves stealing from a noble house. They ask the judge for the maximum sentence, which is, in this situation, disfigurement. They will take your left hand for this task. And the judge looks down at you, a young lad in the 16 years of age. He says, boy, how old are you?
16, sir.
I don't quite feel comfortable taking the hand of a 16-year-old man. It's possible that a criminal is all you are and all you will ever be, but it's also possible that a young man like you has been duped into a way of thievery. Instead, we will sentence you to indentured servitude. Now, you and your assistant, whoever they were, ended up stealing 5,000 gold from the family. And in your head, you know that 5,000 gold is a lot of money. 5,000 gold is more money than most people of like the peasant or servant class will see in their lifetime. That is, an absurd amount of money. And
much does like an apple cost in this world?
Like two copper, maybe 1 copper, 1 copper. So 1 gold could buy 100 apples. So 5,000 gold buys 500,000 apples. It's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
He sentences you to indentured servitude at regular laborer wages, which is a silver a day. That's 30 gold a year until you've paid back all 5,000 gold, which is essentially a lifetime sentence. Of course, if the family likes you, they can opt to pay you more against your debts. Or if they're an evil, corrupt family, they can charge you for room and board and whatnot, and your debt will only increase. It is a corrupt system, and you are sentenced to essentially a lifetime of indentured servitude to the family from which you stole your stuff. They don't ask you to speak in your defense. They don't really call any witnesses other than the man who you intimidated and the guards who found you. And before you get a chance to say anything, the hammer comes down, and the guards put shackles on you, hand the key to the family from which you stole. They are the the Roan family, Roan. And they lead you away in shackles back to the very same house that you stole from. And Mr. Roan, Lord Roan, will tell you your first job is to brick up that entire fireplace. Not just the floor, but the whole thing. Never again are we going to let someone in from the bottom. And you'll hear through conversation that they abandoned the bottom floor because there's no way to stop the leakage and the water that comes in, and that it has this peculiar smell which they can't get rid of. And it's just like, you know, a shitty part of the house they just want to board off forever. How do you feel about being an indentured servant forever? I mean, you'll get food, you'll get clothing, you'll get a warm, dry place to sleep, but you will lose all agency in your life.
I think Archie knows two things after this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows that he will never be betrayed again, because he knows by this point that Amber betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that he probably should have pushed the man out of the window.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And every day that he works for him is just kind of reinforces that thought.
How does Archie behave? Like, are you easily going along with this indentured servitude? You're physically stronger than the man who owns your contract right now. You could just say no and beat the shit out of him and try and run away. Or you could take to it and just, you know, scrub floors and hang coats and wash dishes and take horses out for walks. What is it? How does Archie respond to this enslavement?
I think Archie will accept his fate. Will accept this task that he's been given, and I think deep down, he finds some sort of comfort in the fact that every day he can wake up and be given a thing to do instead of having to rummage the streets on his own.
Give me a charisma check then for how well the family takes to you. Like, are you a likable fellow for them? Are you an annoying fellow for them? What do they think of you? Oh my god, fucking Archie. You 21 or higher is a success. So a 16, they're just like, this piece of shit kid. He smells funny, he talks weird, he's none too bright. We have to explain things to him a couple of times. It's clear that the Roan family is not exactly thrilled with this situation. But they hold on to you for a few years. And I think, as you said earlier, you get kind of comfortable in this spot. They're maybe a little bit mean or a little bit dismissive, a little bit like insulting your intelligence. But they're not bad. They don't beat you. They don't abuse you. You eat well. You're dressed fairly nicely because you like work in their house, and so they have guests come over, and they can't have some dirty little peasant walking around their house, right? So they make you presentable, but you can feel that they are just really frustrated with you. Which is why 2 years later, one day you are introduced to a man. This man owns a ship. Well, owns a company that deals with the hiring and employing of various crew members for ships. It's sort of like a talent agency or a recruitment agency. They go around looking for cheap labor that they can buy up and then resell that labor to ships. And they have come to the Roan family in order to buy your contract. And the Roan family is more than happy to trade away your labor for pure cash. Just, we're gonna sell this kid, He is now and forever going to work on a ship. He's going to be a rower, and we're just going to get, half of his wages or 2/3 of his wages that he would make rowing this boat as cash. So a deal is done, and you are handed over to this man whose name you don't even learn before he hands you over to a ship captain somewhere. And you are just sort of like, all right, your job as a rower. This guy's going to teach you how to row. You're going to row until your contract is paid off. As a rower, though, you are going to make a lot more than you would as a laborer. So you're going to be paying off your contract a little bit quicker. Instead of having to work for you owed 5,000, and a laborer generally makes about 30. So instead of having to work 166 years to pay off your debt, you will only have to work. Where is... here we go. Oops. You will only have to work 55 years to pay off your indentured servitude-ness.
Wow. Quite the raise.
Yeah, it's pretty good, Pretty good. And I think that's where we're going to end our first chapter here. Archie has been down on his luck. Someone promised him good things and took care of him for a little while before abandoning him to run away with a bunch of money. Sold into indentured servitude, which in this case is practically slavery. Sold again, away from everything you've ever known, everyone you've ever known, and onto a bunch of boats, ships. And when we come back from our break, we are going to meet up with you and Nick, and we're going to continue this sort of backstory, and we're going to figure out how the two of you met and how the two of you came to be such good friends, or such close compatriots. So we will see you guys on the other side of our break with a little bit more Tides of Death. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. With us, we have Green Zerg and Pokemon challenges together, and we're going to talk about how they first met. It's going to be years later. I think 3 years later for Jan, and 10, 15 years later for you?
Something like that, yeah.
At least 15 years later for you.
About 15, yeah. I'll probably be just hitting 30.
Mm-hmm. And the two of you meet on a ship, a boat. Nick, your character, John, is the new recruit for this boat. Let's talk.
I'm the new recruit.
You are the new recruit. You're coming aboard this merchant vessel that sails all around. It goes out to Solemn, it comes back to Arcadia, it does stuff around Arcadia, then it goes out to Solemn, then comes back, yada, yada, yada. And you are one of the new recruits here. Tell us, why are you joining this ship? What happened to the last one that you were on? Or your
I think there was probably an argument with the captain. Now, this is a dirty word, so I don't throw it around easily. I wouldn't exactly say it was a mutiny, but I think there was perhaps a disagreement over the path that we were taking, what we should be dealing with. Maybe some people wanted to do a certain job that involved a little bit of criminal activity. The captain didn't really take kindly to it. There was a bit of an argument, and before things got too heated, I think John had realized that, he'd made enough money on that job. He'd sort of worked his way in with all the crew. He knew the people. He finds it interesting to meet new people and get to know them and kind of make them like him. Sort of sees it as a challenge whenever he meets someone new to sort of get them to like him, basically. So he kind of had his fill with this crew. There was this argument about what they should be doing next. He just made a big haul. They were in a new town. So he just thought, what, fuck it. I'm leaving. Leave you guys to your fight before things get too bloody. I'm off. See you guys later. Maybe we'll run into you in another life. And I think at this point, John's probably a pretty accomplished sailor and probably finds it pretty easy to find a new job.
Yeah, you've got the skills. You can chat with whoever the captain of this vessel is. They'll hire you, bring you on board. You meet the quartermaster, you meet the cook, you meet the kitchen boy, some 12-year-old little scrapper who thinks he's, on top of the world because he's working on a boat.
Sure. I think I give this kid like a silver coin or something like that,
Yeah, in memory of back when you were in such a position.
When I started out, yeah.
And then you'll get introduced to the crew. Archie, you have worked your way up from rower to sailor. I don't know if that's actually a vertical, that might be a horizontal shift. Rowers need to be strong and have good timing, but to be a sailor, you need a lot more skills. You need to be fast, you need to be dexterous, you also need to be able to be strong as well. And they find that your particular set of skills work a little bit more, fill that sailing potential a little bit better than the rowing potential. So you've moved on to sailing, but your contract is still what it is. And the two of you guys will meet for the very first time when Nick gets brought aboard the boat, but you still haven't left port yet. And so that first night, tables get brought up onto the main deck, food gets served, and the two of you happen to just be seated next to each other at this dinner table. So,
All right.
Nick, take it away.
Yeah.
John, take it away.
So, I'm sitting down at the table, I see the food come out, and I'm pretty quickly, after spending a lot of time in the kitchen myself, I'm getting the measure of how good the food's going to be on this ship here. And I'm waiting for the food to come, and I sort of elbow Archie next to me and say, "So is the cook much good on this ship? What kind of things do you guys eat?"
Archie, not the most talkative person at this point, just kind of looks over to him, looks like kind of up and down, just shrugs, says it's all right.
All right, okay, all right. Well, I guess I'll be the judge of that. What do you say? What did you say your name was, friend? It's my first day. I extend the hand to you.
I'll look at your hand, I'll look you in the eyes, I'll just say very sternly, Archie B. Alder, sir.
No need for the sir. No need for the sir. I think we're all the same rank here, unfortunately. My name's John. Nice to meet you, Archie. How long you been on the boat?
3 years now, I think.
3 years.
I'll kind of look away and look towards the kitchen to see if the food's already coming out.
I turn to the guy to the other side. Elbow him. It's like getting blood out of the stone with this one. Turn back around. Say 3 years, and you seen much of the world? You've been anywhere nice? Done some good things? How's the captain?
Always been on this boat. Captain's good, treats us well.
What I like to hear. Do you know what? I got the feeling when I first met him, he seemed like a good guy. This kind of guy that you can have a bit of a laugh and a joke with, doesn't take himself too seriously. That's the kind of guy I like to work with, I say, giving him a knowing look, since that's not exactly the vibe I'm getting from Archie so far. He seems very stern.
Mm-hmm. Archie kind of, he's been on this boat for a while. He's seen people come and go, and he's seen people talk a lot. He's not really big into people who try to talk him into things. He's just here. He wants to do his job. He wants to work off his debt. So he just looks at him and he nods and he says, "Yep."
Well,
he's kind of pegging him as this kind of person who is all talks but nothing behind it.
a bit of a talker. So I think John's kind of feeling it. This is my first night on the ship. I've got a lot of people to meet. I'm not gonna force this guy to talk to me if I don't have to, so I'll probably turn my attention to maybe the guy opposite me on the table or the guy next to me, and I'll probably, like I said, I like to go out of my way to get people on board, make people like me. So I've marked Archie. We'll come back to you, but I spend the rest of the night making small talk with maybe the other people around me, keeping an eye on Archie here and there. Maybe I'll throw the odd comment towards him, but seems like I'm not getting too much out of him.
Well, give me a charisma check, Mr. Winters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Or how will you integrate yourself with the crew this night?
24.
Yeah, that's quite nice. You're a personable fellow. Everyone else on the ship, they like to meet new people as well. And here's this new guy. He's coming on. He's in his 30s. He's a man about the world. He knows his shit. It's none of this like rookie business where you gotta like train a new crew member. This is a proper sailor on their boat. And they're
Right,
pleased to
yeah.
have you, and you like to talk, and they like to hear stories. You guys are gonna spend long months together with just the 15 of you or 20 of you, whatever it is, like in close quarters. Maybe that's a relatable thing right now in this day and age, to be in close quarters with the same group of people for a fucking year at a time. So it's important to get along, as we now know. Yeah, everyone seems to be pretty happy and jovial. Captain comes by, puts a hand on your shoulder, asks like, "How you getting along? I see you're sitting between Archie and Carl. These are good folks over here. Carl?
Indeed, Captain.
Carl's been with us for 15 years, haven't you, Carl?" Carl gives a bit of a nod and a head bob. And he
15 years.
pats Archie on the shoulder. And Archie's, like you, is kind of new, 3 years in. Got another, what is it, 40 years left before you pay off your debts? Oh, good luck, Archie. John, count your blessings that you didn't end up like him in life. And keeps going down the ship to, meet the other people. And few people have been hired in this situation. Starts to introduce them to their neighbors and chat about them.
So I
quickly
lean
leads
into to Carl. I say, did he just say 40 years to pay off the debt? What did he do? Whispering so as Archie doesn't overhear.
Actually, 52 years, says.
52 years? What? What? What did he do? Did he steal the captain's wife or something?
The guy shrugs and is like, "You've tried to talk to him. He's a tight-lipped fella. I don't really know exactly what's going on, but some sort of judgment in Clydesdale?"
Looks like he spends his whole days hauling barrels. Look at the size of his arms.
I know, right? He's a nice guy,
Good
though.
friends I
Doesn't
have.
really, keeps his shit together. Doesn't really say much else.
Talking's one thing, but I like a sailor who can do his job properly.
The guy bobs his head up and down. Certainly.
So how about this stew, Carl? What do you think? Is this good, bad? Is this standard? I say, like, lifting up and, like, spooning it back into my bowl. It's, like, watery.
He, like, sits up and loudly says, "I think the new kitchen boy didn't put enough salt in it. Where is that little bastard? I'm gonna give him a knocking around the ears." And you can see the kitchen boy, like, dart it to the staircase in, like, terrored panic. And Carl gives a chuckle, knowing full well that the stew is fine, but just, like, trying to instill a little fear in the child.
Sure, yeah, a little bit of fear is good. I eat my stew. Maybe take a hunk of that, like, weird hardtack bread
Ugh.
that people on ships used to have and dip it in my stew so it isn't, like, hard as a rock.
Yeah.
Eat a little bit more. Say, no wonder you're so grumpy all the time, Archie. You're here for another 40 years? What did you do? Did you sleep with the captain's wife or something? I say, hoping that nobody heard me repeat the same joke.
Archie's gonna put his stew down and look at John. He's gonna say, "I got fucked over, John. That's what happened."
Over.
And then he's gonna continue eating.
I raise my eyebrows at the guy opposite me as Archie goes back to eating.
The guy just shakes his head and puts his face in his stew.
Well, talking about getting fucked over, I say to the table, "Now, you guys, you look like you like a story, right? Let me tell you a story, okay? So on my previous boat, we'd been sailing around, okay? We end up in this town called Shirebrook. Weird town, full of wizards, odd folk. We're there, we're just picking up some stuff, some components, some books from Redport and bringing them to this wizard down in Shirebrook, okay? Now, while I'm there, luckily I get picked. I'm delivering the stuff up to this guy's tower. So I've got a bag of, like, a box of books that I'm fucking carrying. I'm sweating, I'm dragging them. I'm catching my breath. I'm looking around, back at the ship. No one's helping me. I'm dragging it back. And finally, we get up to this guy's tower. And I open the crate for him. This guy's grumpy as all hell. You've never seen. I mean, it's worse than... I give a nod towards Archie on my left here. And, grumpy, real grumpy. And this guy's, he's cussing me out. oh, I'm so slow, I'm damaging the books, blah, 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 right? So as his back's turned, what do? Well, I look over on one of his desks and I see this shining blue potion. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. Do you know what? Carl, do you know what I did? I fucking swiped it, right? I grabbed that thing, I shoved it in my pocket, and I said to the wizard, all right, mate, well, you clearly don't want to talk to me, so I'm gone. I ran out of there as fast as I could. Okay, so later that night, you know, we're in one of the villages around town. Some sort of mine. The place is overrun with dwarfs. You've never seen anything like it. Anyway, I've had a few drinks, and one of the lads, you know, he's egging me on to drink the potion. Now, I usually wouldn't do something so stupid, but you know, with a bit of peer pressure, people are egging you on to do it. You're gonna do it, aren't you? So I drink the potion, and I swear to God, it was like nothing I've ever seen. Immediately, boom, the haze, it goes away. I'm sober as a judge. It is unbelievable. And honestly, it kind of ruined the night. But then I had an idea. You see, I go over to this table of dwarfs. There's like 10 of them sitting over there. They're all slapping each other on the back, you know, they're having a laugh. And I says to him, hey you, dwarfs, look like you're good at drinking down there. Let me tell you, I'm the greatest drinker in Eridon. I could drink you all under the table. No doubt, no problem. No, they didn't believe it. They all put in 10 gold each, at least some of them I think put 20 or 30. Well, this wizard's magic potion, that was the easiest 200 gold I ever made in my life. I sat there, I drank wine, I drank beer, I drank anything the bartender had. Didn't even get a little bit drunk. I mean, I played it off like I did, you know. Next thing, you know, a few hours later, the dwarves are throwing up, they're all on the floor. I scoop up my gold, walk back to my crew. It's the happiest night of my life.
I could use one of those, says a guy like 4 places down at the table as he like brings up his ale and is sort of like rocking back and forth. Clearly too tipsy to even like raise a sail at this point.
Sure.
Yeah. Give me a charisma check for how it lands, because it sounds to me like that's a fucking great story. Does anyone believe this tall tale of you stealing potions and drinking dwarves under the table?
Shit. No, it's too unbelievable, isn't it?
Someone else has heard this exact same story and pipes up. I think I heard the bard back over in Anvil tell this same story. Yeah.
Really?
The bard. Yeah, I can't remember what his name was. Darby?
Looks like I'm more
Dargy?
famous than I thought.
I don't believe it. Someone says, and some other people kind of like jostle and joke in, and you can see the eyes rolling. Apparently, this is like a famous story that the whole ship heard like 6 years ago, and they take it jovially, but they're like, okay, all right, John's the sort of guy who's gonna like embellish or steal stories for himself or something.
Sure.
And that's the first impression you get to make aboard this boat.
Alas. Well, you know, every ship needs a joker.
Right, yeah. Pokemon challenges. Jan, why don't you also give me a charisma check for how people on this ship view you so far? 26, yeah. You might not be the tall tale teller, but you do your job, you're reliable, get shit done, and maybe you don't have a lot of close friends because you're not particularly outgoing or talkative, but there's sort of a consensus that Archie gets his shit done, Archie does his job, and then he stays the fuck out of the way. If every sailor in the world was like Archie, we wouldn't have any problems. The world would just, you know, everything would work functionally. We could use more people like him on board. So you've got a good reputation. John's got the fucking John, you can't believe what he told me last night. He told me he slept with my sister. Can't believe that shit. How did you know her name was Rebecca? Did you really? No, it's not possible. I should write my sister. You know, that's the sort of dynamic that seems to be developing aboard the boat. Yeah. And you guys set sail, and you travel together for a little while. You head out to Solemn one time as a whole crew. The voyage takes a couple of months. You head back to Arcadia. You do a loop around. By now, you guys have known each other for about a year or so.
Maybe,
year,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Neil. I was going to say, you know, maybe me and Yan are on duty together, like, for a week. I don't know, maybe we got in some trouble and we're swabbing the decks or something like that. And I think, you know, in the laboriousness of the task over a long period, maybe I can think to myself, you know, if I can't get this guy to open up now, I'm never going to be able to do it. So maybe it's like, I don't know, early one morning, the sun just about rising off the horizon. And we're like mopping the deck of the ship. And I'm knackered, right? My arms are tired. I'm like taking a break. I'm leaning on one of the sides of the ship. I look over it at Archie, and his like whole half of the ship is like spotless by now. This guy's muscles are just fucking gleaming in the morning sunrise as he's just going. I just think, God damn it, this guy, he's so strong. So I need a break, right? So I pull my mop down. I like wander over to the edge of like the unclean part of the deck, right, where it's still waiting for me to mop it. Just I don't want to step on his like really, really clean section. Say, wow, Archie, you almost done over there?
I look over to him and I say, "You still need me to help me out? You still need me to help you out, John?
I mean,
Or you gonna be getting on it?"
Oh, I can do it myself, Archie. You don't have to go out of your way. You are mighty fine at the task, though. Look at this. I've never seen the deck looking so clean.
I'll head over to John and like put my like massive hand on his shoulder and I'll look him in the eye with like the blue eyes and I'll be like, "Listen, John. Been on this ship together for a bit now. If your hands worked half as fast as your tongue, maybe you could get a little bit more shit done around here, huh?"
Listen, you might be right, but we all have our talents. Yours is clearly for mopping decks. Or beating folk, I'm not sure. Not seeing you in a fight yet. Look like you could handle yourself, though. But,
I'll look back at him, not offended, just that same stern look, but I'll just say, "You seem like a guy who likes to float through life, you know? I feel like I've been in more fights than you could possibly imagine." I'll just
I'm
turn
sure
away
you
from
have.
him.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I trudge back over to my mop and, like, pick it back up and resign back to mopping the deck. And, maybe, I don't know what Archie does when he's finished with his half of the task. If he just takes the time to maybe watch the sea, or if you go to head back down deck.
Yeah.
But when
He
you
likes
when
to
you
like lean over a little bit and just look out into the sea, waiting like new command.
okay, so I'll like after a while, it's maybe been half an hour since that exchange. I'll mop back over to that direction. I say, you know what, Archie, you're wasted on this place. It's been how long has it been now since I joined? A few months, a year, maybe. You can really, got better things to do with your life than be stuck here for the next, 40 years? Surely there's some way for you out of this.
I've only known this life, John. It gives me something to do. Back before I did this, back before I served people, I was out. I had no purpose. I had nothing.
What did you do? Did you
The
just...
captain. Life was a little bit rough on me, but at least here on the sea, I can feel the waves. I have something to do every day, and I can be good at it. That's what I care about. I know you may care about the drinks and the women that you talk about and the adventures,
Yes, true.
but I'll be stuck here. I made a mistake, and I have to put up with it.
We all make mistakes, Archie. You shouldn't be condemned to this for the rest of your life for one mistake. How bad could it have been? Who's the arbiter of all this that says that you have to work for this ship for the rest of your life?
I'm indebted to a rich family in Clydesdale. They'll own me for the
Clydesdale?
rest of my life. It's what I have to do. I wronged them, and now I serve them. That's how things go.
It's around this point, as Archie's telling you the story, that that John sees in the horizon smoke rising. You guys are headed to Shirebrook after having come back from Solemn, dropped off some supplies in Redport, picked up some new things. You're headed to Shirebrook, then you're headed to Whiteshore. You're making the rounds along the coast to sell your goods. And you've arrived at Shirebrook, or you're arriving at it, but the amount of smoke rising from the town is way too much. You're used to seeing chimney smoke, right? All cities have a certain amount of smoke rising from them. Everyone's got fire going in order to work their kitchens, to cook their food, to craft their weapons. There's endless needs for fire, and it's all powered by wood and coal, essentially. So it produces a lot of smoke. You're used to seeing smoke from towns. But as the sun is rising in this morning, and as you guys are approaching Shirebrook, the plumage of smoke resembles something closer to a forest fire. There is no way that a town can produce this amount of soot in the air and things be going well.
So as Archie's sort of talking to me, like I kind of like look away from him and just catch a glimpse of all the smoke, sort of not really listening anymore to what he was saying. And I sort of turn back to him and say, Archie, is that where we're meant to be going? I say, pointing off in the distance to Shirebrook. It doesn't look right to me. I've been there before. It didn't look like that last time.
Archie, the dutiful sailor that he is, knows exactly what to do in a situation like that. He realizes that nobody else on the ship seems to have taken notice. The person in the crow's nest has probably fallen asleep again, as he usually does. So Archie will immediately drop his mop, he'll immediately drop his conversation with John, and head over to the captain to inform him.
I think I just hold my mop, sort of like not really, just like mopping the same spot 100 times over and over as I like stare at the smoke rising from Shirebrook.
The ship trims its sails to lower its speed and floats closer to Shirebrook. The whole crew gathers round to see what the hell is going on. And as the town comes into view, you can see it is the blackened, charred, ruined remains of the town you guys have visited countless times. This place is not just sacked, not just sieged. This place is ruined entirely. This does not bode well. And your captain very quickly makes a decision about what to do. He decides to turn back and head back to Redport. He tells you all that if Shirebrook is in this situation, something's going on. Something weird has happened, something unusual. We might be able to go to Whiteshore, but Whiteshore might be the same way. And if this was done by pirates, maybe they came to Shirebrook and they're headed towards Whiteshore, and we don't want to run into them. If it's done by armies, then we need to report back to Redport before the armies get there, if that's where they're headed. If this is done by some sort of mad mage, then maybe there's still magical effects happening and we don't want to get any closer. We're turning around and we're heading home. And so the ship drops anchor, no, doesn't drop anchor, throws the wheel around, puts the sails back out in full, and heads back to Redport. The few-day voyage there is one of tension and quiet. No one's certain what we're going to find when we get to Redport.
Yeah.
The captain very intentionally takes the long way, sailing first close to Rockwave and then all the way around to Redport, just to make sure that civilization here is still intact. You get to Rockwave, you see that sure enough, the town is fine. Everything seems totally normal. So you sail on past the patchwood and the grazing meadows and the ivywood and make your way back to Redport, which is still fine and intact, and no one seems any the wiser. As the crew disembarks, word travels quickly. It appears you are the first ship to arrive in Redport with news of this, and no one has arrived by land yet, so you are the bringers of information. Everyone is allowed to disembark. You all get shore time, as long as you all come back to the boat at the end of the day. So what is it that the two of you do when you get your shore leave here in Redport after seeing Shirebrook in ruins and tatters?
Well, I guess Archie's probably been... I mean, everyone's been a bit quiet, I think. Perhaps he's been a little bit quieter than usual these last few days. And, you know, the last thing that he kind of said to me was this sort of opening up slightly a little bit about what happened to him beforehand. So I think before I get shore leave, I'm going to go down to the quarters or whatever, where he would be. And I'll come and, you know, come up to his bunk and say, hey, Archie, me and a couple of the lads were, you know, get some drinks on shore if you want to come. Maybe we can. I'm sure all the locals want to hear our stories. You know, maybe we can get some free drinks or something.
I realize that times like these, there's usually not a lot of work to be done on a boat. And even though I don't really like being on land as opposed to water, um, I also don't really like leaving. I don't really like staying behind alone. I like being with the group, you know, raising morale and everything. So I'll just nod and tag along.
As we're walking off the boat, I'm gonna put a hand around Archie and say, "You know what, Archie? This is where it all began for me. This very dock here. I was sat just on that roof over there when this beautiful ship, you never seen anything like it, pulled up. Captain came out in his fancy coat. The crew was all well armed and gleaming. The ship was beautiful, the sails grand. I fell in love with it there and there. I still remember it now. You know, if I close my eyes, I can smell it. I can smell the Or it's the same place, so maybe it's just I'm smelling the same thing. But this is an important deal for me. Yeah. Whereabouts? Didn't you say? I lowered my voice a little bit.
As you move through the crowd, Archie, you spot the Roan family here in Redport. There's a whole herd of horses that they are trying to, well, not, their servants are trying to corral onto a ship. And there is old Lord Roan, years later, making money off of your hard labor, moving some horses onto cargo. Glances over, doesn't even seem to recognize you as you hop off this boat with all these people. Continues going about his work, even though his eyes clearly passed across with just no recognition whatsoever. What do you think first, and then do second when you see Lord Roan, your theoretical owner, here?
I think I'll freeze up a little bit. I'll like stop in my step as the group kind of moves along, and John is still kind of close to me, so he kind of knows this, and my eyes will widen in a way that this is really unusual for Archie. Archie will just kind of tilt his head a little bit and try to make eye contact with the Rowan family, and all these memories of not only the story with Amber, but also the times that he was mistreated by nobles when he was out on the streets, and all that thought of all the work that he's been doing and the comfort that they've been enjoying kind of come rushing towards me, and I just kind of freeze up, and I just try to catch his eye, you know. I just want to make eye contact with this person to see how he would react.
Give me a charisma check to see if you can draw, if your eye contact is strong enough for him to recognize it and look at you closely, or if you're just some weirdo in the crowd. Yeah, you stare at him, you try to get him to meet your gaze, and at one moment, his eyes flick over you for the briefest of moments, but you can see there's no recognition at all. It's blank and void, and quickly moves on to the rest of the crew that's around him. You get this sensation, or this notion, that he's making sure the filthy sailors are staying far enough away from him that they're not going to steal his stuff. He's checking for the social distance between him and these lower class seamen.
So I think I notice Archie stop, right? He's almost mouth agape, staring at this guy, and I'll stop and look over at these random nobles and say, "You know this guy, Archie? Hey, yo, what's up with you? You know him?"
Rowan. I
Who?
washed his undergarments for years, and he doesn't even recognize me.
Watch this. Wait, this is... I look back to the group. They're probably... Maybe the rest of them haven't noticed, so I lower my voice a little bit. Wait, is this the guy?
I'll take a step towards him, and I'll nod, but I'll still be looking in the direction of him.
This is the guy. We gotta do something, Archie. He's in town. This is fate. How often do we get shore leave for a whole day? With everything that's going on in Shirebrook? I'm telling you, mate, we gotta do something about this. This is where it all started for me. What, I was just saying. You remember me. I was just saying. I was saying it to Carl. You remember? It was just a minute ago. I can't believe it. It's the gods, Archie. It's the gods. I look up to the sky.
I'll just turn to John and I'll say, I don't believe in no gods, but right now I really believe that his face should hit the pavement.
Look at him. Not here. Not here. Here, let's you go and get a drink. Your good buddy John, I'll keep an eye on him. I can be quiet. Look at you. He might recognize you. Stomping around like that. I can stay hidden. Here, go on. I'll meet you in the rusty bucket. And I will slink into the crowd.
I'll slowly move along with the rest of the crowd, but I'll still be eyeing the nobleman the entire time.
Mm-hmm. The crowd of the sailors slowly moves in the direction of the rusty bucket, and everyone else around you is like happy to tell any passersby, like, don't go to Shirebrook, there's something wrong there, and starting to spread like crazy rumors. Someone's like, a dragon destroyed Shirebrook, and someone else is like, a crazed wizard, he cast web in the streets of Shirebrook, and then they all set on fire and the whole town burned. It was terrible. You know, random bullshit stories. Half the sailors are like intentionally spreading false stories just to get a chuckle out of the crowd, because like now they'll always be confused about the truth is, and it's hilarious to the sailors. Other ones are just moving along to get to the rusty bucket. Do you go all the way in, or do you like wait outside?
Oh shit, is this at me?
That was at you,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my god, I totally zoned out for that. I'm so
It's
sorry.
gonna happen a whole bunch.
Please.
Don't even worry about it. So on the way to the rusty bucket, all the sailors like spreading false rumors about how Shirebrook burned. Some people are saying dragons did it. Some people are saying wizards did it. And they quickly move into the rusty bucket to have like a drink. Do you go all the way in with them, or are you hanging out outside?
I think I'll be hanging around. I'll get a drink, but I'll like hang around at the sidelines.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, you can get a drink inside and like hang out at the window or at the door looking out. John, what do you do?
I want to find out where this guy's staying. Or what he's doing. I want to follow him.
Yeah. After all the horses are loaded in, Lord Roan shakes hands with the person, probably the ship captain or a quartermaster or some sort of merchant in charge of the ship, and then heads off not to the rusty bucket, but to the nice tavern, like 3 or 4 doors down. That's the Golden Pillow.
The Golden Pillow. Does this place have rooms as well? I mean, I've been in Redport. I would know. Does he look like he could be staying here, or would he be staying somewhere else?
It's just a tavern. If they're staying in town, if they don't live in town, they're probably staying at one of the inns like further inland, not like right here on the docks. This is just a place for like wealthy noblemen to like come and hang out, maybe exchange some drinks and some words, maybe a few games of dice or chance or cards or whatever. It's more of a socializing place.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're going to do something, we probably need to do it while he's here before he leaves town and goes somewhere else. Like, we've only got a day short leave, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of try and get a look through the windows. You say, like, what, he's playing cards in there or something? He's playing dice?
Yeah, you can watch him walk into the place. If you come by a window, you can see Lord Roan sits down at a table. His wife has come and sat next to him. Across is another couple. And the 2 gentlemen are having a drink, and then you can see one of them set like a deck of cards down at the table, and the other one goes, ah! And cards are dealt out as a tuxedoed butler or waiter comes over and brings them beverages and some delicious pork samosas.
Okay. I want to look at the deck of cards he's using. Does it look custom made? Does it look like maybe they're from town here?
It looks like a cheap deck of cards that someone probably picked up in town.
Yeah, okay. So see, I want to remember the back of the cards. I want to remember what they look like. And I want to head to the marketplace and see if I can't try and buy the same deck of cards.
There is a printer in town who uses wood block to print the same deck of cards over and over and over again. As long as you've got the ink and the card, you've got this wood block that's got a back of the card design on it, and then you've got 52 wood blocks that like will have the front of the card, and so they'll just like press copies of the front of the cards, and then they'll press copies of the back of the cards on all these things, and then just sell cards. It's the service that one person offers. So you can buy practically the same deck as everyone else. You know, the exact positioning and cutting of the cards is going to make each deck ever so slightly different, but you'd have to really know your deck of cards to be able to tell the difference between one and the other.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll buy a deck of cards. I don't know how much money I've got, but I assume I can.
You've got enough for a deck of cards, yeah.
Problem is, I grab my deck of cards, I pocket them, and I look up and down at myself. You know, I look dirty, right? I don't look like.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to get into that building.
Yeah. Do they have like a wash area at the Rusty Bucket, or if I wanted to get cleaned up, would I have to?
There's a fountain
get a room
somewhere that you can go and wash yourself off in, like many other sailors do. But it's
do I feel like if I were to wash off, I'd be able to get in, or if I would still be too?
No, you would need the right clothes, and the moment you open your mouth, they would hear your like low-lying sailor accent, not the like fancy noble.
Well, I could maybe put on an accent then. Hi, hello there. My name is John Winters. This might even be the first time I come up with my surname. Alright, I grab my cards. I'm gonna run back to the Rusty Bucket where the rest of the group and Archie are.
Mm-hmm.
And I hurriedly come in and I sort of like wave a hand at the bartender to bring me a drink. And I sort of like pull up a chair, spin it around, so I'm sitting on the chair backwards like a really cool guy. And I whisper in Archie, I say, I followed him, Archie. He's in the golden pillow. Guy's playing cards. You're sitting there working away your entire life and he's gambling away the money you're making him.
Archie will kind of rub his knuckles a little bit. There's still a lot of anger. There's still a lot of like resentment. He's cooled down a little bit, but at this point he's kind of buying into what John's saying, and he feels that like injustice, especially because of the like disparity of like rich and the working.
Definitely,
and he just turns to John and says, "What were you thinking?" Because I was thinking I could go over there and, you know, bash his skull in.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure this motherfucker deserves it, but you go there, you beat him up, you probably just end up serving another 40 years, John. Archie, that's not the way. There's got to be something else we can do. It's just a piece of paper, you know. It just says that he owns your work. Maybe we could get it off him.
Archie remembers the last time that someone tried to clue him in on a job like this. In fact, on the exact same target that John is now
That's true, yeah.
trying to have him fuck over. But he's worked with John a while now. And honestly, at this point, the anger towards this nobleman just gets him to a point where even if he gets caught again, even if something happens again, at least he'll not repeat the same mistake he made last time, and this time we'll actually throw him out the window.
But so, some favors. Yeah.
Archie will just nod, and I guess he'll see if he'll get fucked over again or not. He doesn't. I guess he doesn't truly care at this point.
Archie, finish your drink. Let's go and talk. And I will the bartender brings me my drink, and I'll like swig it and like hand it to Carl or whatever, one of the other sailors, and I put an arm around Archie and like get him up from his chair and maybe go to a quieter part of the inn, or maybe we just go and like stand outside in the courtyard or something like that.
Archie will finish his like half-full drink in an incredibly quick manner and just drop the jug and follow along with John.
All right, so I got an idea. They're playing cards and they're gambling. I pull out the deck of cards from my pocket. These are the same cards. Now I'm quick with my hands. I think I could cheat him, right? The problem is though, well, there's two problems. Number one, they won't let us in there. Look at the state of us. We don't look anywhere near fancy enough for the golden pillow. Secondly, how do we get him to bet your servitude? It's kind of weird to bring up unless we both go in there and demand to bet for it. But I feel like if he saw your face, he would know something's up, no?
Archie will think a little bit. He's a little bit slow, but he will suggest that you know, I know that he used to go to this place, and he's there with a lot of friends, and those friends, what those people think of him, that means a lot to this guy. And I have a lot of pretty interesting stories from his home, you know, that I think he'd be very embarrassed to hear his friends hear. So maybe we can convince him to engage in a bet that way.
Interesting. What, you think we maybe bust in there or wait for them all to leave? Challenge them to a bet?
Archie will think a little bit longer. Still resisting the urge to just go in there, lift this guy up, and throw him out the window. And he'll say, I have nothing to lose, John. You're the one who seems to have the fast tongue, though.
Yeah. It's a dangerous place, though, you know? Surrounded by guards here. It could go wrong easily. We blow our load, it doesn't work out, he doesn't take the bait. We'll never see this guy again. I look over to the dock at the ship. I say, I was thinking of moving on. Not now, maybe in a year or something, but with what we saw today and all of this, maybe we could just leave, you know? If this works out, you wouldn't need to go back to the ship, right? You'd be a free man. What if we hung around in town for a few days? We followed this guy home. If we catch him on the road, you could make him beg to let you free. Maybe more your way of doing things.
Archie likes this. He'll nod, he'll smile a little bit. If I don't work on the ship anymore, I'll have nothing. I like being out on the waves, you know? It feels nice. It's calming out there. It's like nobody can sneak up on you, and
Oh no,
I like the movement.
I get it. I
So
get it, Archie. I like the sea too. But there's a whole world of ships out there, you know? You don't have to resign yourself to this one for the rest of your life, you know? If we do go through with this plan, then we'll get a few coins along for it. I'm sure that this guy doesn't walk with an empty purse. We get a few coins, we live life large for a little while, we can find another boat to work on, but this time as a free man. Better than working for the captain up there. He's a nice enough guy, but he's used to treating you like a servant. You think that's going to change just because we rip up some piece of paper?
I'll just look at John and I'll say, I'll go along with this, but you never leave my eyesight. If you do, I'll crush your skull. And he gets what he deserves. I don't care about anything else.
You think I'm stupid, Archie? You think I want to get in a fight with you? No way. Tonight, I ain't got much respect for most folk out here. But you're a decent guy. Took me a while to get through to you, but now that we're speaking, I'm really feeling something here, Archie. I think we're going to be good friends. This is going to be good. I want to help you. This isn't for me. I want to help you. You deserve better than this. You're the best sailor I ever worked with, let me tell you, and I've worked with a lot.
Keep your flattering for when we're inside. I just want to work on a boat again and not be indebted to this piece of shit anymore.
Yeah, if he's got enough coin on it, we can buy our own boat, eh? I slap you on the shoulder. All right, so what do you think? We bail, we watch him, we ambush him on the road? Or this guy used to travel with guards, do you know?
He gets careless at night. He has guard. He's friends with the guards. He has them around, but he'll usually travel on his own. Usually because he wants his privacy. If he finds a young lady on the way.
Piece of shit.
I think we can definitely ambush him on the way home if things are still the way that they are, or the way that they were.
All right. Okay. So maybe it works the first way. I'm gonna see if maybe they'll let me in there. Maybe we can do this the easy way. If not, we just follow that. I reckon he's probably staying in one of the villages around Redport somewhere. He'll probably get himself nice and drunk. He'll walk it home. It's only a small walk, maybe half an hour, an hour. Maybe he's got a man with him or something. We can take them. You can take them, Archie. Look at you. Rage like that, you can take 10 men.
I've taken 10 men. Don't worry.
Yeah, I bet you have. You maybe well, you come with me. I'm gonna see what I can do, and I will. I head to the fountain in the middle of the courtyard or whatever outside the tavern. I'm gonna I take off my jacket. I unbutton my shirt. I'm gonna clean myself up. Maybe I've got a piece of soap in my bag or something. Try and wash my hair a little bit, make myself look a little bit more presentable. I'll put my shirt back on. It's dirty and that, but I'll fasten my jacket tight. And it's a dark jacket, so maybe I don't look as messy as I once did.
Mm-hmm.
And I make sure I've got my pack of cards in my pocket. And I'm gonna head over to the golden pillar, and I'll sort of saunter up, and Archie's with me, and I'll say, you can wait outside, and I'll head to the front and say, hello there, bouncer. Room for one more?
All right. So I'm going to need you to give me your very best, your poshest accent you can give me. Give me a member of the royal family accent, Nick.
One does not simply allow anyone into a tavern like this. It's certainly a tavern for the upper class folks, ones that understand the finer things in life. And I've tried drinking at the Rusty Bucket and the other terrible places in this town, but really it doesn't quite suit my need, I've heard that the Golden Pillow, however, is a place of very fine repute, serving only the finest elven wines, and I would like to taste of them myself.
All right. Why don't you give me this is the first time John is impersonating a noble. So this is going to be a difficult check for you. I'm going to need you to make me a charisma check at -5, because this is a difficult, very difficult thing to do, to pass yourself off as a member of a different social class.
I need a 26, right?
A 21
No.
-5? I guess that's a 26.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Same,
because I'm just rolling it from the sheet,
Sure. Same.
Oof.
Absolutely not. You come up and you give your very best, fancy, posh accent. And the bouncer on board gives you the, up and down. It's clear and apparent to you that this does not fly. And the bouncer then does this.
I'll take
Before you get a chance to say anything, the hand, the right hand of the bouncer lowers a little bit, and he makes a beckoning motion, give me some money, and I'll let you in.
Huh?
He just
search
willing
in
to
my
take a
pocket.
bribe right away.
How much money do I have?
Not a lot. Actually, no, hold on. You just arrived in port. You were in Redport, so you took a long trip to Solemn. You got some shit. You sailed back. You were in Redport for a day or something, and then you left. So you have most of your money still that you would have been paid. Assuming that most sailors live port to port and blow all of their money every time they get somewhere.
John certainly does. So
Yeah.
I've probably got a few gold.
You get paid in silver coins, so you probably have 15 silver on hand.
Okay, so I'll take 5 silver out and palm into this guy's hand.
He'll watch the coins without letting his chin drop. Close his hand, put it in his pocket, open the door, and say, "Right away, right this way, my lord."
Why, thank you, sir. I saunter into the bar, cast a quick glance over at this guy's table, realize that I didn't actually expect to get in. I'm not sure I've necessarily got a plan, but I'll wing it.
Well, As you glance at the table, you can see that the other man that Lord Roan has been gambling with collects his cards, and he and his wife are getting up and heading out. Say their goodbyes to the Roan family and exit the table. Lady Roan leans over and starts speaking to Lord Roan quietly in his ear. As you
Probably they'll let anyone in this place these days, she probably says. All right, have I completely missed my opportunity? Like, are they already gone before I get... Like, are they already sort of halfway out
Lord
the door?
Roan and Lady Roan are still seated at the table. Their former guests that they were playing cards with have left.
Ah, okay. I shall get myself a drink. And I shall walk confidently over to their table and I say, you looking for new players?
Lord Roan sits back and goes, a gambling man are we? Took the last
One
one
does
for
dabble.
everything he put on the table. I'm more than happy to take some more money off of someone else's hands. My dear, would you go fetch the butler? I could use another flask of another glass of champagne.
Is it appropriate for me to, I think to myself, is it appropriate for me to ask this woman to get me a drink too? It's not really, but maybe it is. So, and while you're there, could you get me a black coffee?
Give me a charisma check. Is this wildly inappropriate, or do you have enough charm that this is kind of like funny and cute and fun?
Oh, fucking hell. Sorry.
The lady stops, like half stand, and looks at you like offended that you would treat her like a servant. And Mr. Roan...
One is only joking, Mom.
Surely the lad is joking, sweetheart. But we'll probably have to take everything you own for that comment, he says, and like cracks his knuckles. What's your game, son? He's like 20 years older. He's like 10 years older than you.
Do you know poker?
Of course. Deal. And he pulls out a bag of coins and just like pulls 3 gold out and sets 3 gold coins on the table.
I must have my coffee first, sir. Hang on. And I'll get up and go and ask for a coffee.
By the time you get your coffee and get back to the table, you can see that Lord Roan has grown impatient. You insult his wife, and then you leave to go get some fucking coffee, and now you're back, and like his wife is reseated. They've got their champagne, but he's pretty pissed. He said, I thought we were having a game, good sir. Tell me, what are your stakes?
Let's play. Shit, I haven't got much to bet.
You have literally not, like, there's no way you have the money to bet anything that he's put on the table. He's like put 3 gold coins. If you start pulling out silver coins, your cover's definitely blown. Like, your accent's already kind of sketchy to begin with.
Is it though?
I mean, you rolled a 2, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Shit. What do I?
How are you going to possibly take his ownership of a person? What could you possibly bet that would be worth that? You literally don't have anything. You're gonna have to come up with some sort of like lie or con or, you know, make him believe that you have something that he might want. And I think this is probably a good time for our break. We're gonna take a break here, come back, see how this game plays out, and then see the consequences of it a little bit later. So see you guys on the other side. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. You're in this nice, fancy tavern. This new noble is before you. He's already pissed at you. You've insulted his wife. Then you blew him off to go get yourself a cup of coffee. And now you're coming back down, and he's got like a pile of gold on the table, and he's drumming his fingers, and he's looking at you like he's impatient to like play some cards. Like he always gets everything he wants, and he's not used to having to wait for it. And this is a bunch of bullshit. You arrive at the table.
Yeah. So I'll sit down. I like reach into my pocket, sort of like pull out a handful of coins, like look at them and put them on the table, and like, so my coin isn't as rich as yours. Listen, I'm a merchant, and I don't have much coin on me. We've just come back from a shipment, but I have a great deal of rare goods and spices from across the sea in Solemn. Perhaps we could. You ever tasted cinnamon before, my friend?
I certainly have, and it is a wonderful spice. Are you proposing that you trade your shipment of that you would bet your shipment of cinnamon?
Cinnamon, yes. Perhaps, if that would be agreeable to you. I do have some other goods, but I would say that one of the rarer things that I'm carrying that a man of your quite fine stature may appreciate.
He muses to himself. Large bets are so exciting, don't you think? And his wife puts a hand on his
certainly.
shoulder and leans in. You can hear her. Maybe hear her. Give me a perception check.
Ooh, perception's not my best. But I hear.
You hear her whisper to him, "Sweetie, not again. Really? Please." And he brushes her away quickly. Right. Whole shipment of cinnamon,
Whole crate's worth. I would say it's probably worth around 50 gold.
He muses to himself. Ah, well then. And he sweeps his gold off the table. And what would you like then in exchange? For trading goods for goods? I'm a purveyor of horses. I have some of the finest stallions and mares around. Crate of cinnamon for a fine riding horse?
Well, that does seem like a fine deal. I'm afraid it's no coincidence that I find myself sat across from you today, Lord. Roan, is it?
Yes, how did you know?
Well, you see, I sort of lean across and point out the window to Archie standing outside. See that? You see this chap outside? I don't suppose you recognize him. May have been a few years since you saw him last.
I don't think I know that ruffian.
I think he's just one of the many poor folk that you claim ownership over. I believe that I've been paying your fine self for his services for a long time now. It's frustrating, to say the least. In my business, the cash flow can be of an issue, and I'd rather, if I could purchase the man's services outright, this would be far preferable for me than to having to pay this stipend to yourself
He looks
over and over again.
at Archie, and the wife turns and looks at Archie too. And it takes a moment. He's like, "That's the young man who broke into our house and threatened me."
He did?
Yes. He came at me with a two-handed sword. The idiot. In a building? A blade that long?
Why,
No.
Martha, I had no idea. The man is a bit rough around the edges, but he's always been well respectful. Perhaps his encounter with you taught him a lesson.
Good. Dirty boy.
What do you say then? Crate of cinnamon for this man's servitude?
Well, I believe he brings me in quite a bit more than 50 gold a year. Well, not a year, but a long-term investment, this boy. Worth a little bit more than a crate of silver. And if you're already paying me for him, then...
I understand, but a man of your knowledge and acumen understands that money today is worth more than money in the future. If you have cash today, you could invest it. But I take your point. He's a fine gentleman, and perhaps worth more than a single crate of cinnamon. Let me check my ledger, and I will I reach into my bag and pull out some bit of paper. I've got some rudimentary literacy, so I probably practice writing. I don't show him what it is, but I look down this sheet of paper and say, so cinnamon. Donkeys. How about this? I also have some nutmeg. Perhaps would go well with the cinnamon. Make a nice tea. A crate of nutmeg, a crate of cinnamon. Perhaps
I'll
this should
take
be
the
enough
crate of
to...
nutmeg and a crate of cinnamon. That sounds Splendid! Nutmeg is such a fine and rare spice.
Indeed it is.
Hmm.
Fantastic in a bechamel sauce. I don't know if your wife is much of a cook.
Excuse me, we can afford to keep a cook of our own. How dare you've insulted her once.
Us.
You insult her again, I will see to it that every horse you buy kicks you in the face.
Well, that is a threat. I apologize. I apologize, Ma. It's in bad taste. It's all this time at sea with the sailors, you understand.
Deal out the cards, young man.
Yes, yes. And this is my big moment, okay? My black coffee, it's sat there, right? I get the cards and I deal them slowly over the coffee, and I look at the reflection of the cards in the coffee as I deal them, so I know what his hand is.
Sneaky son of a bitch. Right, so you're gonna know which hand is best.
Yeah, I'm gonna know. I mean, if it's traditional poker, I know not to bet if he's got a big hand. I mean, I assume we're not playing over a single hand here. This is gonna be
Right, that
more
would be
of
a ridiculous thing. It's gonna be
Yeah.
I guess he'll pull out some small coinage and you'll play to whoever wins out the coins of the other person.
Yeah. Yeah,
He'll
so
pull
we
out
use some of his
coppers and
gold
just
to
like
bet.
yeah, he'll just put coppers on the table. Each person gets 30, and whoever ends up winning the whole thing ends up winning the whole thing, I suppose.
Perfect. Yeah, so I use my... I also have my fake cards if I need to palm like a different card into my hand to really win. But I'm hoping that
Did you get two
over
sets of
enough time...
cards or something? What do you mean you have your set of fake
Oh,
cards?
well, I bought one deck of cards. I assumed that he had a deck in here. The point was that I was going to have the same deck that he had.
I believe it was, unfortunately, the other person who had brought the deck of cards. Oh, no.
Unfortunate. Okay, well, I have to rely on my coffee and my considerable gambling ability in order to best this ruffian.
Well, why don't you give me a charisma check for how coolly you play this whole thing off? And you've rolled a 2 and a 1 on your last 2 charisma checks.
Yeah, so hopefully this is going
So
poorly.
don't fuck this one up. This one matters.
I mean, it's for him, right? Like, if this goes poorly, he's going to end up in a ditch in the side of the road with Archie's fist in his face. So for his sake, I hope I pass the charisma check here.
Woo.
Okay, 29.
Woo! All right, total pass. Cool. So you play it off no problem. That you've got that you're playing a regular game of poker, that there's nothing untoward happening. You can see the reflection of the cards in the coffee cup. You know how the game plays out. And you can use the advanced knowledge that you have to push him into a corner and eventually take him for all that he's worth. It goes rather smoothly, actually. And at the end of it, he's there holding his head in his hands. He looks out the window and goes, I suppose he's yours now. And he gets up and snaps his fingers to the door, and when a servant comes over and looks like a butler of some sorts, and he says, I need you to go to the house and bring back the paperwork for that boy that broke into that. What was his name? He looks at John.
Archie.
Archie's paperwork. Bring it over here for the gentleman. And the servant runs off. He'll be back in half an hour. The Roan family has moved to Redport, which is not the capital of Wake County, but it is the financial capital of Wake County.
Yeah. Once the deal is done, I turn on the charm on his wife. I make sure. I'm not trying to flirt with her. I try and make up for previous grievances by
One more charisma check, Nick. I really
being
hope
kind
you fail
to her.
this one.
Easy 32.
Right, you can make things up. Half an hour later, a servant comes by with some official paperwork that talks about the indentured servitude, and here's the person that's been contracted as the in-between between the lord and the ship's captain and blah, blah, blah. And the process would be pretty straightforward. You go to the in-between who works out of your Redport. You show them the contract. You say that you're supposed to get the money and that you wish to withdraw the contract, and then you would go with that guy to the ship's captain and say that you are now the owner of his contract. And then from there, it's, do you want to decide to tear it up or what?
Let's just cut back a little bit. I sort of make my goodbyes to Lord Roan here, stand up, shake his hand, kiss his wife on the hand. And it's a pleasure playing with you, Lord Rona. I shall be in town for a few more days if you wish a chance to
Piss
get your
off!
hands on that cinnamon.
He says,
Ah,
dropping
very
his
well.
noble accent and returning to his original like groom, because they were, they were just merchants who sold horses, and before that he was actually just like a not that big of a person. His
Yeah.
original accent, which he's worked very hard for years to overcome, comes out with a piss off, get out of here.
Very well, sir. There's no need to speak to me in such a manner. I smirk to myself as I walk out of the tavern. I'll no, I was gonna slip the bouncer another coin, but I won't. I just pat him on the back and say, "Thanks for that, bud." And I walk up to Archie and from my pocket produce the piece of paper. And I say, "Archie, looks like you belong to me now." I laugh as I hand him the piece of paper.
Archie will not laugh. Archie will simply look at the paper, and he will look at Art, and he will look at John, and he'll look at the paper, and he'll kind of smile a little bit, but then his face gets a little bit more serious. And he says, "We had a deal, John.
We
You
did?
left my eyesight."
Oh, I start to look worried. Hey, Archie, it was all part of the plan. I didn't, you wouldn't hit me for that, would you? Oh, okay, wait, look.
Have you guys ever seen those Russian slap competitions on YouTube?
Yeah. Holy shit.
Can I make an attack roll on John to slap him like that?
You want
I'll
to
give you one
slap
hit,
John in the
Archie. I'll give you
face?
that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you.
Yep.
I'll give you one hit. I brace myself.
That is going to be your full-fledged attack at this point. So just go to your combat tab and roll that punch, roll to hit. We can say it's open-handed instead of closed.
I'm looking to find it. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, just roll d20 plus 5, which is an amazing attack roll for first level, by the way.
/R space d20 plus 5. Oh, that's enough.
That is, you whap him across the face.
Ah! God, be damned, Archie. Fuck.
And
I
I'll
knew
kind
you
of,
could fight.
I'll extend my hand towards him to help him up a little bit.
My God. All right, I take your hand and pull myself to my feet. Say, before you rip that thing up, we should take it to the town hall and get this thing authenticated so no one comes back looking for us. Come on, I know where it is.
He'll look John in the eye and he'll say, "This is the first time anyone's ever done anything like this for me. I appreciate it, Captain."
No, we gotta find a ship first, Archie, but I appreciate that. It's always been a lifelong goal of mine to be a captain. I've always considered myself a captain deep down, in my heart. I've got the soul of a captain, if just haven't found the boat yet. But you're welcome, buddy, Getting one over on the nobles in there makes me feel good, Rubs me up the wrong way seeing them lording it over people. The idea that they can own someone, that's for the birds, not for me. Don't worry about it. I put an arm around him and we walk through the street together to the town hall where I'll fasten my jacket up again and sort of push my hair back, and put on the noble voice once more and head in there and say, "Hey, excuse me, I have some paperwork I wish processed."
It is. You guys spend the rest of the day in shitty bureaucracy. You go from one counter to another, as each person seemingly has the right thing you need, only to find out at the last moment that you need form DD75/C in order to properly process this paperwork. And you end up spending the entirety of your leave dealing with the ridiculous bureaucratic system, which includes paying out another 20 silver just to pay the right fees for this and to maybe grease a wheel over here so that you can get this paperwork done today instead of tomorrow. It is a nightmare to do it through the regular legal method. But at the end of the day, that's all said and done. The paperwork gets passed around from you guys to the middleman all the way back to your captain, who you will eventually arrive at and have to break the news to him that
Well, before we get there, as we're walking, we finally get the paperwork done and we're walking back, and I'll say to Archie, well, we didn't get any coins off him, so maybe we're not as free as we'd like to be, but what do you want to do? You want to go back, do one more journey, and some coin, maybe do something else, see how things go, or you want to stay in Redport for a bit? I'm sure we can find a way to make some coin.
Archie, after this long day, having punched multiple walls during this form-filling process, because if there's one thing that he hates, then it's filling out paperwork. Archie will simply say, "John, I want to be out on the sea as fast as possible. Do you see how I'm still not walking straight here on land? I need the waves.
I get it.
Get
But
out
look,
there."
why don't we can head back with the captain for one more run. Wouldn't kill us, right? See how it feels like a free man. Make a bit more goals. We've got time. If there's time on the sea, we can talk about what we want to do. I'm up for it.
And for the first time, like, the realization comes over Archie that he'll be working and he'll be doing this job that he's really good at, and this time he'll be like making money for his own, and like a little smile comes across his face, and he'll
Very good.
simply say nothing to John and start walking towards the ship.
As he walks towards the ship, then I've still got the paperwork. I guess it's up to me to tell the captain, since... So I run to catch up with Archie and get onto the ship and sort of like gingerly look around for the captain. Don't know if I see him anywhere. I shout to one of the sailors, who I know the name of, like Dave, you seen the captain?
He points a thumb downstairs. Our captain's downstairs. Got some company in the room, doesn't want to be disturbed.
Company, hey, okay. That's all right. You can wait up here. How's your day been, Dave? You enjoyed the shore leave?
Got stuck on watch.
Oh, that's mighty unfortunate. You at least help yourself to a little rum?
Not on watch. Absolutely not.
Good. I was
You know
just
what we do
testing
with the
you,
drunken
Dave.
sailor?
I do, yes. I'd rather not hear about it again until you guys know how to sing.
Let me tell you, in song.
No.
1, 2, 3. No.
What should we do with the drunk? Okay. I sing it with him for a bit.
Yeah. Eventually, the lady arrives and heads out, and the captain comes back onto deck, sees you sort of waiting around with John.
Captain, can we have a word?
That's 5 words right there. One more.
Look at him, confused. I can't limit myself like that, Captain. I'm sorry. You know me. I like to talk. I'm sorry. You gotta forgive me.
I thought it might work. Had to try it.
No. Takes more than that to shut me up. You wanna try slapping me? Look at this. Archie slapped me around the face before. Knocked me clean off my feet.
Captain tries it.
Oh shit.
Whaps you in the face.
Wait, no, hang on. I've got 13 decks. I mean, I've got 17 decks. I dodge.
Oh. Okay.
Nice one, Captain. I laugh it off like you didn't just try and fucking knock my face off. Captain, while we were out there, I did a little favor for Archie over here. I heard about his plight, that he was in indentured servitude.
A lot in life, but we all gotta play the hand we've been dealt.
Sure. Well, I got some good news for you, Captain. And I sort of take out my pocket and hand him the piece of paper and say, I found the guy that owns it. I bought him off him. The man, Archie's a free man now. So you don't need to pay them anymore. You can pay the wages directly to him. It's been signed and everything. Look, I got all the forms, D77, whatever the fuck.
He looks at these forms. You can see the fatigue come over his face. Now I gotta deal with bureaucracy, and he waves you down into his quarters and pulls out the papers and pulls out his papers and matches signatures and does the whole process and looks you in the eye and has you come with him over to the harbor master to have an official double check this paperwork and make sure he's not being swindled very quickly. He's a smart captain, you always double check paperwork and you always have someone more official than you take a look at it just in case there's some sort of something skeezy going on. And he's only known you for the one voyage, so
Yeah.
But it all is on the up and up, and at the end of it, he hands the paperwork back to you and goes, "Great, Archie belongs to you now, so I suppose I will pay you his wages instead of anyone else." Great.
No. No. He doesn't belong to me. And sorry, Captain. Wait, I'm going to get him. I run up the deck quickly and call Archie. Archie, get down here.
I'll
Captain
follow
wants to
along.
see you. I stand up straight in front of the captain and nudge Archie, make sure he's doing the same. He already is standing up straight. He always does. I hand him the piece of paper and say, "Well, Archie, this paper says that I own you. You got my blessing if you want to tear it up." They thought we'd wait till we saw the captain.
Archie will tear it up.
The papers are shredded, taken by the wind, falling into the sea, and being washed away.
Archie will
Say.
follow them with his eyes for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Captain, you find out what's going on in Shirebrook yet?
No one seems to know. Fuck all's been done. I say we head northward this time. Goes against the current, but hey, there's some good places to drop stuff off in Heatstroke and Weatherlight. Maybe eventually we can make our way to Yatel. Great trading port there.
You know, we spent all day in the town hall getting this stuff sorted out. I know it's a bit of an ask, Captain, but we couldn't have another day shore leave, could we? I could really do with a drink.
You had all
Like
day.
a real drink. I told you, I was busy. Never mind.
Captain blows you off. And I think that will end this segment. We're going to take a really short break, and when we come back, we will do one last chapter with our two heroes before we end for the day. So we'll be right back on the other side of our break. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. We're going to pick up with our crew a little bit later. This is going to be maybe 2 years later, so maybe a year before the campaign actually starts, or 6 months before the campaign starts, something like that. Our party has...
Maybe more like a year, Neil. I've got a lot to do in that year in terms of...
A year before the campaign starts. Our party has sailed around for a little while, and for the first time, Archie has coin in his pocket. Up until now, whenever you've gone out drinking with people, it's always been other folks paying for you because you literally have had no money to your name. You've been surviving on whatever food and drink the ship provides, plus the kindness of your fellow sailors and what you can gamble here and there. But after a little time of making money, you have points. How does this strike Archie? Real cash in your pocket that you own legitimately, and no one can say otherwise.
He is probably more overwhelmed than he expected. Like, he's normally not a very emotional fella, but it kind of brings up back memories of what Amber promised him the very first time he was wronged, and it's almost a representation of John's loyalty and John's word to him. It's pretty important, and I think he feels like he'd like to hold on to this. Like, he's always thought about, like, back then all he wanted was a warm place to sleep and maybe some food, but he's kind of found his home on the ships now, and to him I think this money is more like a representation of not only his freedom but also his loyalty to John.
Mm-hmm.
I also think, everyone's used to buying you drinks, that you might just get away with, like, not buying around at the bar, right? Everyone's just used to buying them for you, so you're saving your money.
Yes.
Right. There was a moment where it was possible that John could have just owned your contract, and that would have been that.
Yep.
How would that have been? Like, would you have been comfortable with John as the owner of your contract?
I think so. Maybe in the moment even more so, because it's just what Archie is used to, is serving and just being not his own man, right? So, which is probably why he's a little bit overwhelmed with it, and which is probably why he will tend to stick with John a little bit further, even though he's not technically obliged to, like, where he technically doesn't have to. I think he still feels some sort of like obligation towards John in that way, and he can't really, despite just ripping up a piece of paper, he still really can't shake that feeling that, well, he used to serve Lord Arone, and then he served as captain, and well, now he serves John, right?
So I think, from John's point of view, I mean, he went out of his way to help Archie here. He wasn't doing it for his own benefit, but a friend for life earned through an act like that is probably worth more than an indentured servant anyway. Is a servant really gonna, throw himself in front of a sword to save you if he didn't have to? Probably not. A good friend might though. So maybe we're on shore leave, right? We're sat at a table. The rest of the sailors are off, maybe in the brothel or doing something else. It's maybe just the two of us. Maybe Carl's there. I don't know if Carl's still around, but I always liked Carl. And I'm looking down at my purse. It's filled with silver. We've had a really good haul. And I look out the window to the ship bobbing in the sea, and I say, Archie, must feel good to have some coin in your hand, right?
Not used to it, John, but it does feel nice.
Let me tell you, you know what these coins represent? They don't represent the crown or anything like that. They don't even really represent wealth, real wealth. There's more to it than just coin. I'll tell you what this represents for us, for me and you, Archie, what this represents. It's freedom. We can do whatever we want. We got enough money here. We don't have to listen to anyone's orders, We could live in this tavern for probably 6 months if we wanted to. We could maybe even, go and get a little boat of our own. It wouldn't be a ship, but we could find something to do. The captain, the crew, I like to move on. Archie, I'm bored of them. Me and you, we're friends. The rest of them, they just don't do it for me like they used to. And I don't know, I don't want to tell you what to think, but does it not feel weird being around these same people? I see them sometimes, the way they look at you, the way they talk to you. They don't really treat you like the free man that you are.
Archie's gonna look John in the eye, and he's gonna say, John, I just want to be out there on the seas. Let's get a boat together, but whatever vessel we get, let's make sure the deck is small enough that I can be on mop duty on my own.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. This place where we are here, Weatherlight, you know much about this area?
We've been here a couple times. I feel like Archie's more the kind of person who followed along with the others and didn't really see much sense in getting to know all the little corners and everything, just the things that you need to know as a sailor as you're doing your work here. But that being said, that information is probably enough. So yeah, I think I know my way around here.
Yeah, that island to the north of here, Gate Isle, you know it? There's free men around there, Archie, sailors that run ships, not working for any one captain. They're not slaves, they're not paid a wage, they're all in it together, a crew. Whatever they make, they split between themselves. Real freedom, that's real freedom, Archie, Maybe we could get our own boat. I don't know how much boats go for these days, or maybe we could find some work with one of these crews for a while, make some more gold, start off on our own. But we'd be free, We choose what to do. Be up to us to say whether we're going to Solemn or we're going back to the Dardanelles or Drekis or wherever the fuck. We'd have a say. We wouldn't have to be listening to the captain telling us what to do all the time. What do you say? We've worked with the captain long enough. I could do it if you want. I'd go and talk to him and just tell him that we're going our own way. I'm sure he'd take it all right.
Archie will simply say, aye, aye, Captain.
That's the spirit, buddy. I'm going to tell him right now. I stand up, put two hands on his shoulders like he's standing in front of him, say, you bloody beautiful bastard. And I turn around and I'll confidently walk out of the tavern, head back to the docks. I mean, the tavern's just on the dock anyway, so it's a quick jaunt. Maybe I still see the captain on the deck or something like that, or talking to the harbour master or something.
Yeah.
I go up to him and say, listen, Cap, you got a few minutes?
Aye, what is it, lad?
Well, these last few hauls we've done, we've made some coin. Me and Archie, we like it here, and, he's had a tough time of it in his life, and I think the guy needs some time off. And me, I like to move around, so no hard feelings, Captain, but I think this is where we part ways. Hopefully we do so on good terms.
I needed Archie for one more thing. I do need him for one more thing if you guys are going to be taking off. He's a strong lad. The strongest one we've got around here on this boat.
Plenty of strong lads on the crew, Captain, surely.
He looks at you. We got a bit of a problem.
We?
Yes, we. Get Archie. Meet me down in the brig. Down in the hold.
You gonna tell us what... Fine. In the hold? I'll be there in a minute. I fucking walk back to the tavern, crestfallen, shoulders slumped. I walk in the door. In fact, no, I stop outside the door. I fix my posture. I try and put a smile back on my face, and I walk in. And I say, all right, Archie, I told him, but he said he needs us for one more thing. He wants us to go on the boat. You up for it?
Archie's a little bit torn now because now he's confronted with two different authority figures, two different people that he's loyal to. Asking two kind of different things from him.
Mm-hmm.
Archie's not one down to turn a job. He's learned to never say no to a task. So he'll just say to John, what does he need?
Sure, but I figure that he seems to think you're the only one who can do it. Why don't we'll go down there, see what's up, maybe ask him for a few more coins. We're free men now, Our business ended when we stepped off the ship in port. Might be able to get a few more silver out of him.
That ship's gonna be a mess without me. I might as well do one last job to make sure that they're gonna be okay.
You know what, Archie? You're too good for this world. Let's go.
You guys get down to the hold of the ship, and there's the captain, the first mate, and this other person who you don't know, who you don't recognize, who is sort of tied up and has a bit of a bloody nose.
What's this about, Captain?
We caught this here brigand trying to sneak aboard the ship. I won't say a word. That's why I need Archie here, big strong man that he is, to knock this guy around a little bit, make him talk for me. You can get him to talk, Archie. I'll pay you an extra couple of silver. You and John here can fuck off and do whatever it is you guys want to do in your life. I don't really care. But the one thing I can't abide upon my ship is a rat. And anyone who sneaks aboard without my permission... Well, Archie, what can you do to make this guy talk?
Archie will look at the captain and say, you know I can do things to make him talk.
That's what I was hoping for. Captain comfortably leans back against one of the posts below decks. Motions casually for you to make this person say something.
Before Archie moves, he will send over a look to John to kind of gauge how he feels about this situation.
I mean, my sort of shrug and give you maybe a few silver, so...
Archie will nod. He'll walk over. I assume this person's kind of sitting on the floor, tied up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Archie will kind of squat down in front of him, tilt his head a little bit to the side, and just start by kind of just presenting this person that there's currently a very large-bodied individual in front of him, a very strong individual that is capable of inflicting all sorts of damage. And we'll just kind of look at him, and we'll just ask, you got something to tell us?
Guy just looks at you and says, "Fuck you."
Archie will grab his thumb and break it. Do I roll an attack roll for that?
No, he's tied up. You don't need to do any of that
true.
nonsense. He's just at your mercy.
I
So
see.
you easily break his thumb. Is this the first time that you've had to assist one of your captains in interrogation?
No, he's done it a couple times.
John, is this the first time you've seen someone be forced into speaking?
I don't think so. I mean, John wouldn't do it himself, but it's not the first time. Maybe it's the first time he's seen it. Not the first time he's heard of it happening, though.
Certainly, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The guy cries with a little bit of pain as you break his thumb.
I think I wince as he breaks the thumb.
But he still refuses to speak.
I'll have broken his left thumb here, but I will still ask. You left-handed or right-handed?
The guy struggles with his bonds and says, "Right now, I'm not handed at all."
I think Archie will give him one of the Russian slaps.
Mm-hmm. Bat him around the face. He spits out a
Wince
little
again.
blood.
First on the right side, and then on the left side. Right or left?
You know, I think I saw your mother working down at the Drowned Daughters, he says, naming one of the nearby brothels.
Okay. Does Archie have any sharp objects on him? I don't think he does on my
Probably
character
not
sheet, right?
on you, but
would-
within the
yeah.
hold of this ship, there are plenty of sharp objects to be found. There's knives, daggers, belaying pins, if you need something bludgeoning, needles for fixing things, anything you need.
Yeah, I think one of those needles will do. He'll grab one of those and just get very up and close with this person's eye with that needle. Just very, very close.
I think.
And
Go ahead.
and he'll just say, "Do you want to repeat that?"
This
Word
is
for word.
where I would like you to make me a torturing proficiency check. It's one of the skills that Archie has that we didn't really get a chance to explore yet. So let's see what it's like. Roll me from your character sheet a torturing check. It'll just be that purple button next to. Oh no, you rolled it, and
You got
you
a 20.
rolled
You got a 20.
natural 20. Sweet Jesus, an apple pie. Yeah. You make this guy sing like a songbird. Very quickly, the guy tells you that he was hired to hop on this boat. He's supposed to be looking for this thing the captain has, this bag that's supposedly got something magical in it, and he spills all the details. He names his employers. He doesn't know their name, but he knows where they hang out. He names the last time that he saw them. He names how much money he was getting for this. Spills the beans on all the things. And when it's done, and the man is poked and broken and beaten, because he doesn't spill it all right away. It takes a little time. The captain of your ship pats you on the back, puts 4 gold pieces in your hand, Archie, taps his nose and says, "Oh, keep this one quiet. John, you didn't see a thing."
Didn't see a thing.
Good. Well, boys, enjoy yourselves on wherever you go. We'll stick around and dock for a day or two, find some replacements, although I don't think it'll be that hard to replace you, John. We'll just need to go to the local tavern and find the loudest mouth there.
It's been a pleasure, Captain. I offer a hand.
Pleasure's all yours. Archie, you'll be sorely missed.
Archie will simply salute.
Yep. And off the two of you guys can go, leaving in this town while the rest of Eridon falls to pieces around you guys. Commerce has dropped quite a bit. Half of Eridon lies in shambles. What remains of it is broken apart into fragments. Only Wake County, that Redport, Clydesdale, Rockwave, Hillsborough area, is really intact. And you guys can set off on a new life with each other for wealth, glory, fame, fortune, whatever it is that you want.
Awesome.
I
All
think
right.
This was
that
great.
will wrap us up for our sessions before our first session. Next week, we will be playing our very first session, full-fledged session of Tides of Death. We'll get the whole party together, and we'll see what happens.
Oh,
Oh wait, this was so much fun. Good job, guys.
It was
Especially
wonderful.
to Neil, but also for your
Yeah.
first time, Jan. Really good job.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, everyone. I think there are no questions to be had. So if you guys want to talk about this stuff, there are various subreddits. I'm sure everyone's got one, or half the people have one, or at the very least, you can head over to mine and chat about it there, or in the various Discords and Twitters and whatnot. And we'll all be back next week for episode 1 of Tides of Death. We'll see you guys then. Good night, everybody.
See you later, guys.
Night.